And thank you for staying up late with us. We have a great program and some great guests tonight, and of course some important topics for you to discuss. Continuing coverage in the shakeup in the leadership at the Houston Police Department. It's the breaking news you first heard here on The Factor last night. Former Chief Troy Finner retires, ending his 3-year run as chief with HPD. His retirement comes as the department faces continued scrutiny concerning the hundreds of thousands of suspended cases. Larry Satterwhite has been selected by Mayor John Whitmire to step in as HPD's interim chief. Today, Chief Satterwhite spoke out for the first time under his new title, and Mayor Whitmire addressed the challenges Houston's police department has been facing.
HPD has been challenged since the incident reports were revealed. It's been under 4 police chiefs. 8 years of the previous administration. You know, there's plenty of fault to go around. It was affecting operations at HPD. That's the bottom line. I dealt with it because it was a distraction to the mission of the men and women in HPD.
I want to serve the public, and I love this police department. I love the men and women on this police department, and I've been through good times and bad, seen really awesome work and lives saved, and seen tragedy firsthand that I'll always have with me. But I still love this department. I love being a part of it. But that is for the mayor to decide whether it might someday, it might turn into being me on a full-time basis, or it might be somebody else. And I absolutely understand.
Back to former Chief Finner, he has since released a statement thanking Houstonians and saying how the last few months of his career were perhaps the most challenging yet most rewarding. The statement continues saying it was painful because some victims of violent crimes did not receive the quality of care and service they deserve, but it was also beneficial because we implemented measures to ensure this will never happen again. Joining us to talk about it tonight here on The Factor Uncensored, Houston City Council members Carolyn Shabazz, Edward Pollard, and Tiffany Thomas. Glad to have you here on The Factor Uncensored. So in this situation, were you guys made aware of this change before the mayor announced it in a 1029 email, or you learned when the public learned?
So I learned about it through social media. I started seeing it on my timelines through the news posts that were coming on Instagram and Facebook. Don't think I got a formal notice until this morning through our email.
Same here. I saw it on social media, and a friend sent me a text message of a news article early this morning.
Same here.
Okay. And do you think there should have been at least a courtesy for elected officials on the council, that you guys should have been made aware that there is a major change going on in the city of Houston?
Absolutely. I think, of course, you know, regardless of which mayor is in office, they have the ability to make those type of decisions and the responsibility to do so. But because we have a council body that works closely with Houston Police Department, and we have, many of us, strong relationships with Troy Finner, the courtesy would have been beneficial to allow us to respond to constituent concerns and questions as well.
Now, was this the right decision, and any one of you can jump in, to replace Chief Finner?
Well, I think any mayor should have the option to choose who they would like in any position around the city. I do think that the way in which Chief Finner left office, for me, left some question marks on the way it was done. He was an outstanding chief. He came in at a time when we were going through social and civil unrest with George Floyd. He steered us through a pandemic, the Winter Storm Uri, a lot of challenging situations that he showed tremendous leadership, and the contributions that he gave the city. I think the city owed him more than what we're displaying right now. And for him to be out in the midst of, you know, a controversial time with the department makes it seem like he has a blemish on his record that I don't think is fair.
Absolutely.
But go ahead.
And just to speak to that, for someone who I consider is one of one, Troy Finner has an impeccable reputation in this city. He's homegrown, came through the rank and file of the Houston Police Department. Someone that was once the lieutenant to be appointed as an executive assistant chief points to the level of exceptionalism he has demonstrated in the department. So to that point where he has a 34 24-year career, and for it to be soiled in this way, I think is problematic. And I think the public needs to know the truth and be reminded about who he is and who we experienced through those times.
We are talking about, though, 260,000 suspended cases, and he was in office at that time. There are questions on whether he was truthful. He said in his statement he didn't remember the 2018 memo where he made a point to say this is wrong, it shouldn't happen.
I'd like to speak to that.
Go ahead.
First of all, I would challenge anyone to remember an email you got in 2018 and determine that it was 2018.
I can't remember last week's show.
Absolutely. And
That's
so
just
for
reality
his career to
sometimes.
turn on something that he was copied on, is my understanding, is really a problem for me. Because here again, I can't recall with exact certainty when I've gotten any information, especially something that has gone back as far as 2018. And so
And even in
that's
that email.
And really quick, though, even though he was copied on it, he also responded.
He did respond.
Yeah.
I wanted to speak to that as well. He's always been very consistent. He's always said it was unacceptable. So regardless of when he received it, it was not something that he felt was the right way to operate. And so, and that's what he has been throughout this whole process. He's been consistent in saying that it was unacceptable. And he's taken responsibility for it as well. And so for this to turn in his career and maybe put a question mark to say that he has not operated in integrity is a problem for me.
Right.
All right, Councilmember Pollard, you had something.
Yeah, I was going to say, in that email, which he was CC'd on, it was actually to the former chief, Acevedo. Chief Finner clearly states that it is unacceptable. Also in that email, nothing states that it was a code. It just said it was suspended for lack of personnel. When you're moving really fast and you're in high positions, we're getting email after email. You read it, you make a response, and you move on. I don't think there was anything that he looked at in that email and said, oh, they're talking about a specific code. And so for there to be assertions that he was untruthful about that, I think is not true.
All right. We'll continue this conversation when we come back after this break. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. It's a new era for the Houston Police Department. HPD now has a new leader, Acting Chief Larry Satterwhite. He took on the job after Chief Troy Finner officially retired last night amid an investigation into more than 200,000 cases that were marked for the do-nothing file or suspended. Our guests are back here on The Factor Uncensored. Houston City Council members Carolyn Shabazz, Edward Pollard, and Tiffany Thomas. When you guys take a look at this investigation, was this something that the public was demanding answers to, or insiders, or those politically involved?
I think the public has the right to demand answers on.
But I mean, what do you think? Do you think the public was saying, let's get rid of this police chief? Or do you think insiders and those politically involved say, let's get rid of this police chief?
I think it was both. I think it was a blend of both. And I think the way that the information was laid out was calculated from my perception. And so when you set the table and you set a certain narrative, then the public is going to just absorb what is put out. And so Chief Finner and the police department has been on defense since that story was released. And then most immediately with the recent email, right, from 2018. So someone was waiting in the shadows to release a 2018 email to show some type of discrepancy in terms of his word. And so I think it's both. At public session, community groups have lined up. They've asked for answers. We agree that they deserve answers. Council members have asked for answers. We've been probing as well. How did we get to this point? How are we not informed that this was a code? But I do think in terms of public pressure and then probably some internal strife, as the mayor mentioned, force created the circumstances for this decision.
Now, the elephant in the room is, does race have a role in this, a part in this? Your thoughts?
I hope not. You know, there's always going to be questions regarding race when it's law enforcement involved, there's a black chief involved. But I can say that this matter that has been going on regarding suspended cases is something that has been widespread over more than a decade. There has been shown that even when Chief McClellan was the chief, In 2014, they were talking about suspended cases. We've had subsequent chiefs since then. So now that Chief Fenner is in this position, why is it now all of a sudden coming out? Why is he now having to take the brunt of the blame for it? And I think we need to listen to what he says and understand that the words that he has mentioned and take his word for it.
And regardless of who is behind it, there's been a great outcry of people who are very, very disturbed that Chief Fenner will no longer be the police chief.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've gotten emails and phone calls and just inundated with people who are very, very disturbed by it, regardless of whether it's the impetus is race or what it is. But Chief Fenner has a lot of respect from the rank and file, as well as from the people. And he's one chief that you could reach out to, walk with. In fact, he was recently in my community walking and talking to the constituents and the businesses. And so he was very approachable. And I believe that he's a man of integrity. And I'm just very saddened that this has happened. And I think it's a loss for the city of Houston.
At the heart of this case are those 260,000 cases. And when we take a look at those cases, how did we get here? Do you think it was laziness or negligence that got us here, where officers or those in charge said, let's not worry about these cases? Like for the 2018 case, we saw where there was a lot of evidence, eyewitnesses, and they still said a lack of personnel, don't investigate.
But he also said,
no, I'm just saying in general.
Acceptable.
Right,
well,
right.
in general, we know that there has been there's a backlog, and certainly there are some money concerns in terms of being able to do this. The what is it, the forensic science labs have had some difficulty. So it's not necessarily laziness. And then there's a lack of manpower. And so I believe that everybody is just really, really upset about that, because people deserve justice.
And I think you have to also understand that there's been over 2 million reports that have been filed to HPD. And out of that 2 million, you have 200,000.
10%. Or just
10%. So that's really a 90. If you look at a grade, they've done 90% of the work, right? And they've answered 90% of the reports that have come in. But for those 200,000, only 100,000 of those were like thefts and robberies, things that were hard to follow up on because of evidence. Now, those 4,000 sexual assaults, those are extremely important. And that's why it is true that we need to have an investigation to ensure that doesn't happen again. And Chief Fenner is the one that was the first chief to put forth measures so that it will never happen again.
All right, we're out of time, but we want to thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We were interested in what you had to say. Thank you for joining us tonight.